I'm pianist Leif Ove Andsnes, and today I will drop the needle on 36 hours of music that I recorded during 20 years of my career.
Leif Ove, I'm holding a box here, and I can see that there's a picture of you on it. So I figured I would ask you if you could tell us a little bit about it.
It's actually filled with 36 CDs. Everything I recorded between 1990 and 2010 for Virgin Classics and EMI Classics, today owned by Warner.
We're going to be dropping the needle, which is a metaphor for pulling some of these beautiful CD sleeves out of the box and seeing what you might find from your discography.
I will look at that angry young man.
Look at that man.
I cannot remember that from the photo session because it felt like such a friendly photo session and I look like a prisoner here. But it's very serious music. Janáček was somebody I got to know through my Czech teacher, Jiří Linka.
Ja. Detta vi snackar mer om. Detta
I was 15 and I would come into a lesson and he would sit there just playing. Something like that, and I thought that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. What is that? I didn't know the name of the composer, nothing. And it was recorded in the Malting Snape in Suffolk, which is the hall that Benjamin Britten and Peter Pearscott built. A wonderful hall, but often disturbed by creaking sounds because of the wind and also bird sounds. So I remember the engineer had to sometimes go out with an air rifle and shoot in the air to get rid of the...
Oh, I thought you were going to say that he shot the birds.
Not for real.
No animals were harmed in the making of this album.
Absolutely not. We got this idea that the night had a kind of a great silence for this music. I now think that some of the slow playing in it is affected by that. It's a little bit too slow for me today. I'm not drinking coffee anymore, but I was drinking coffee and I guess that kept us up. Yeah. But I was also somebody who loved to be up very late at that time.
So it was your natural hour?
Almost, yeah. But there's something about that music. There's always disturbing figures, like in the piano sonata. Nostalgia. And then you have these forky, irrational sides coming out. The phrases are rarely symmetrical. They're strangely fascinating. For me, Janáček is still one of the really underrated composers. When I recorded this, very few people did the piano music, but he's an incredible composer. For me, his string quartets are up there with Beethoven. Very serious-looking Rachmaninoff Piano Concertos 3 and 4. When I was 18, I had in my head that I want to do all the Beethoven concertos and all the Rachmaninoff concertos and maybe even record them one day. I achieved the Rachmaninoffs in this project. It was a huge undertaking for me. It took many years. The third concerto was the first one I learned, which I'm happy about because it's a difficult one to learn. Rach 3 is of course so filled with myths and there's too much athleticism, I think, you know. When we talk about it, it's sport sometimes. For me, there's unbelievable beauty in the piece. I think one of the great things is that it can be done in so many different ways because there's so much to emphasize. There's so many voices you can emphasize and you have to sacrifice something. I think Horowitz said this. You have a passage like this. You have the bass. That's maybe the most important, but then all these inner voices and the harmonies. Oh, unbelievable, the chromaticism. Or that kind of passage.
Don't stop.
Well, it's just unbelievable music.
Yeah.
And it goes past so fast, and you have the orchestra also with these sweeping lines, wonderful string sounds under. I worked a lot with a fantastic Belgian piano teacher, Jacques de Thiège, who's not anymore with us, unfortunately. I remember he said that somebody should record Rachmaninoff 3 very slow so we can hear all the, you know. There is a harmonic change every every chord here, and to hear that left hand, for instance, with all its beauty, it's unbelievably rich, and I guess that's why we're coming back to it again and again.
Let me take this one. What do you got?
Oh, the blue one. So I recorded Grieg lyric pieces on Grieg's piano in his villa in Bergen. I live in Bergen. And I feel very connected to that place. I played there a lot. It was actually the first real recital I played when I studied was in this place in Trollhaugen.
I heard there was a wedding there.
There was a wedding, and he got this piano, this Steinway B from 1892. He got that as a present from France. And what's especially about the piano is the different registers sound very different. So a piece like this one, which I love, Homesickness. All the Grieg signature harmonies. And so on. It had such a warmth in the middle register. And then there is this forky but sort of dreamlike middle section in the treble. And on that piano especially, there were it's like small bells. It was challenging because it was actually, it's a low ceiling room. I mean, it was in this living room we were recording. So when I listen to the sound today, I think maybe it's a bit boxy, but the piano is very charming.
I'm not a Norwegian man, but when I listen to music of Grieg, I feel a nostalgia for a homeland that's not mine when I listen.
It's true, in the same way as with Chopin or Dvorak or something. It has that sort of signature, and you immediately hear after 2 bars, you hear that this has to be Grieg. There's something about the harmonies, and it's then difficult to know, is that Norwegian, or is it simply his signature that we have made it be Norwegian? And have that Norwegian nostalgia. But of course he used folk music. It derives from the folk music tradition, of course, with open strings on the hardanger fiddle, which is this folk instrument. So that theme, for instance, comes from those strings. Take this one and see.
Okay.
Haydn, a very important project for me because it was the first one where I was leading a chamber orchestra from the piano. I, at that moment, was directing a festival, a chamber music festival in Risør, southern village in Norway, and that's where I experimented with this. We had a chamber orchestra, and somebody said, "Why don't you just play something with us, with that conductor. And I thought, that's a crazy idea, but let's try. And then Haydn became a project, and I got this connection with the Norwegian Chamber Orchestra and became an associate or guest leader with them.
Did you sit like this, so when you performed it, your back is to the audience and then they're around you?
Absolutely, and without a lid, of course, so everybody see each other, everybody hear each other so well.
Do you forget about the audience when your back is to them?
No, but maybe a little bit more. But also because I have such close connections with the musicians and I see them so clearly. Everybody hears each other, it works like that. You don't sit there and think, what's my next entrance? Because you're in the music. Mm-hmm. I'm in the storytelling of the piece all the time. And it's so much fun. I remember this rondo. When I listen to that recording, you do feel that we are exploring this, and we're so happy about doing it for the first time. I think it has a freshness to it. All right.
What did you get there?
This is the Schumann Piano Sonata number 1 and Fantasie in C major. And I remember that I actually recorded the Fantasie twice because I wasn't happy with the first time around. Very generous of the record company to give you a second chance.
Can I ask why you weren't so pleased with the first?
The whole piece is transitional. It's just so personal, the timing of everything. And when I got the first edit of the first time around, I just wasn't happy with how it belonged together, this section with the next one and so on. And everything is fluid in this piece. I mean, just the beginning. I mean, how much retardando, where to move it, where to wait, I mean, all these things, which chords to emphasize and where to pull and push. It's all about that. And of course, it's also so extremely passionate. I haven't actually touched this piece for 20 years and I get goosebumps, just the sheer passion.
How did that feel after 20 years?
It's not all there, but it feels familiar at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's strange. Sometimes when I touch a piece after 20 years, it's like it needs a couple of readings to find the file in my brain where it's stored.
Okay, so that's how you have recorded 36 hours of piano music, is that you have a file cabinet in your head with all of it stored.
And what I'm particularly happy about when I see this box, I see that the recordings reflect what I did in concerts. And I was very lucky to be part of this time, which was the CD boom, and everybody wanted CDs with different repertoire, both the very standard and the fringe and everything. And I was interested in a lot of different music, and I can see that in this catalog that it's there, a lot of it.
When you look back at your biography and you're just reflecting on your life, do you think, yeah, mid-20s, that was a Schumann Fantasie time of my life? I mean, do you sort of associate time periods with music that you were performing?
I do remember this period as being a very intensive Schumann period. And I was obsessed about him and read lots of books. I mean, it's the most interesting of all biographies, of course, of any composer. You know everything about Schumann because of the letters and because of the personal life, and it was so open. And I sympathized so much with him, and I felt with him, you get everything. You get the weaknesses, you get the strengths, you get the passion, you get tragedy. It's all there. And it's all there in the music, and it's all there in the biography. I was extremely touched and felt close to him. Let's see here. Oh, Nielsen piano music.
Tell us about Nielsen. Not everyone knows Nielsen as a piano composer.
He was not a pianist, but he has actually written very interesting piano music. I heard his Chaconne, Opus 32, when I was 12 years old. I'm from a small community in Western Norway, and it was very important for me to be part of these national piano competitions because I could hear other children playing on a high level. And I heard this girl playing the Nielsen Chaconne, and I thought, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. I said to my parents, I want the music of all Nielsen piano music, and I went to a local library, and there was even a LP with a recording of all the pieces, and I started playing. Especially the Chaconne stays with me. It's a very spiritual piece. Being a Chaconne, it of course starts with this bass theme. It just wanders around like that. Improvisatory, sometimes playful, sometimes very serious, and then it builds up to an enormous climax and very angry variation in the middle. Really aggressive, which ends in. This choral version of the theme. And then the coda is absolutely wonderful because it ends in the treble. We have been so much in this darkness, and something like that. And it evaporates just up in the treble, and the piece is so it's like it has a spiritual message to it. Very special music, and Nielsen really uses the keyboard. I've also played Sibelius piano music, which can be wonderful, but he has more a problem of using the piano colors. But I find with Nielsen, despite the fact that he was not a pianist, he was really using the keyboard in very interesting ways.
This needs to be in the repertoire. I mean, in the
I think so.
Standard repertoire.
And not only this one, the Luciferian Suite, for instance, is a grand piece, 25 minutes, very important.
I confess to just not knowing. I'm going to have to just listen to your 36 hours of music. And what do we have?
Oh, Schubert. That was a big journey for me, and this was the first one of 4 CDs I did with combining late piano sonatas together with songs from the same time. And Ian Bostridge is singing with me here. And we also did then Winterreise as part of this project.
Fremd bin ich eingezogen, fremd zieh ich wieder aus.
I think for me it started with the song cycles because I was so extremely taken. I lost track of time. I was just there in the now, which we're all dreaming of, and that music has that quality. I think Schubert has that. I got very interested in these long journeys, what has happened to us when we get into those, and I had to push myself into that because I wasn't used to that kind of music. Of course, you have all the liveliness and the big statements. But then we are on to something, and we are smelling that flower and looking at that, and this music doesn't then have the same goal or message and direction as with Beethoven, for instance. And we're into a piece which takes 40-45 minutes, and it's such a journey. We haven't touched these late sonatas since then, and I feel now that I want to. And what happens? It's very difficult to explain what happens, but sometimes coming back to things, it just feels more organic, and maybe I also trust my instincts better of timing and of freedom, taking freedom in the moment, not controlling so much everything. And knowledge, maybe knowledge about, when you take time, you have to give sound, all these kind of things, which I'm more sure about now than I was when I was 25. He was 31 when he died. I mean, we cannot treat this as music of an old man. I just don't believe in these kind of myths that, like the B-flat sonata is about death. I'm sure he knew that he wouldn't have a long life. He was ill. But look at how much he was composing the last year. And the last thing we have on paper from him is fugue exercises, counterpoint exercises. He wanted to improve that. That's somebody who is looking ahead. And unfortunately didn't get more than these 31 years.
It's an incredible box set, and I just want to thank you for dropping some needles.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey there, thanks for watching. Make sure to check out Leif Ove Andsnes' new box set. Makes a great gift, easy to wrap. And if you're into piano and you want to check out some of these pieces actually and learn more about them, head on over to Tonebase. There's a holiday sale going on right now and also makes a good gift, although a little harder to wrap.